The things that are good are also the opposite of the things that are bad.
Right. Like I said, like they used to be things like over like 6'5", like brown hair, like light eye, like and it's like that stuff really
Wow.
that's like
So
yeah, like trust
shallow,
me.
Lauren.
Because I've gotten like people have told me so that I'm like friends with a lot of like self-love coaches and like things like that, like in the whole like wellness space. And they're the type of people who are like, okay, you need to get like super specific on what you want and like write it all down. Like that's the whole manifestation vibration thing. And it's like I don't know that me writing that down, like those exact things, is gonna like maybe, but I
Right.
don't know. I feel like the field has opened, and I think there's so many people in the world that we can learn from. That like I don't know. My mom was a matchmaker. I don't know if we ever talked about this. My mom was a
I don't think we
matchmaker
did.
for
No,
13
I haven't.
years. Yeah. So she has a very interesting viewpoint too. But I talked to her a lot. She's not a matchmaker anymore, but when she was, we talked a lot about love and relationships and things like that. And she was one to believe that we have multiple soulmates. And so I think I've kind of taken that and ran with it. And I'm like, man, there are like so many people in the world. Like I've got so many soulmates out there. Like I'm just gonna be me, and then
Yeah,
whatever
well,
ends up matching me vibrationally, like
yeah.
maybe those soulmates are at different points in my life, like different vibrations that I'm at through different experiences. I don't know.
No, and I'm like 100% on board with that. I would it was probably like 4 years ago. I was definitely someone who was like anybody can like meet, connect, and put forth like if they're in the right spot, put forth like all their effort and can make it work. I never really believed there was like one person out there for you. And then I watched this show with Anna Kendrick called well, I can't remember the name of the show, but basically the love something. I don't know. It's not a typical Jake show, but I like Kenny, so I watched it. And it was like every episode was uh like a chapter of like someone she dated, and I thought it was like so beautiful how they did it, where it's just like at this point in your life this was like the person for you, and then like at this point in your life this was the person for you. That doesn't mean that like you weren't ever supposed to date that person. Like we've all had like I mean, not everyone we date was good for us, but like there's good things you took from most of your relationships and you grew from, and
Yeah.
like it just goes to show that like yeah, like just because someone wasn't in your life forever doesn't mean they were bad for you, but like you had what you had and it was beautiful while it lasted, and then it ended, and
Yeah.
now there's probably someone else for you. You might be forever alone, but you know there might be someone else down the road. You know she does end up with someone at the end, so you know I
Yeah.
feel like that's how they should have ended the show. Like just be like, yeah, do this, and then at the very end she just like dies with like a bunch of cats or something.
Completely alone. Like it's
Just-
just her. Yeah. No, I think that's super important to realize. Like, cause I'm definitely a hopeless romantic. Like I think about like the fairy tale ending. Like that's just like, what's always been in my head. But it's like, even if that person isn't for you long term, like some moments that you share with those people, you'll remember forever, and they could completely change your entire life. Like that could change the way that you think about one thing, which could influence a decision that you make, like 2 years from now. And it's like you every little situation that we go through has the potential to completely change our life. And I think the more we can recognize that everything is temporary unless we choose for it not to be, the more we can just focus on being present and enjoying things where we're at. Like, if you meet somebody and all of a sudden you're thinking about, like, all right, well, like, when are we gonna, go on an actual date? Or when are we gonna, get engaged? And it's like, whoa, like, y'all just met. Like, can you enjoy, like, getting to learn the ins and outs of this person's brain for, like, a couple minutes? And then maybe let yourself wander and think about the wedding hashtags and stuff. Maybe
yeah,
that's just, like,
yeah, we'll figure out the names of that down the road. Well,
yeah.
it's so funny you bring that up. I was thinking about that today. So I like went back to like our like first Bumble conversation because I was
Yeah.
curious. Because at that time, all my Bumble conversations were like, "What kind of music do you like?" And then suggest 3 songs, and then from there I suggest you the podcast, and that was like basically the whole purpose of what I was using Bumble for at the time. And I didn't ask that of you. I didn't ask you anything about music, which is hilarious to me. Another point I
You
wanted to bring.
did. You did when we started
I'll let
texting.
maybe later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but not from the initial because I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, this is weird." Because I looked at it, and then I was thinking about so two super weird things. Like the day before we were gonna hang out, I was telling my CI all like we hadn't really talked about like mental like growth and all that stuff at all. But I
Hmm.
was just like, yeah, this is gonna be like a really good conversation walking around the lake. And he's like, no, it's not, Jake. Like first hangouts never go well, like all day. And then he thought it
You
was. I
had
was like,
no
no,
hope.
literally, this was like one of the best conversations. My light just went out.
It was for dramatic effect.
It was for dramatic effects. I don't know how to do special effects yet, so I just, I messed with the lights. And then, it happened. I don't know how to get that back on. Well, it's off. Whatever. Way in the
Spooky.
dark now. We can do this. We have an impromptu out here. I don't know. But yeah, he was like, no, it's gonna like be awkward and weird, and it's not gonna go well, and da 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 da. And then I came into work the next day, and I was like, dude, I just had like one of the coolest conversations I've ever had the first time I met someone. He's like, you lied. I was like, no, like legitimately, it was like one of the coolest times I've ever had hanging out with someone for the first time. But what's so funny is like a lot of the, well, I guess I don't know, but part of the reason that happened was because you knew Zach, and you're like, well, or at least you saw that we had a mutual connection with Zach. And the night that I met Zach was such a horrible night for me. It was so funny because I'm always like, there's always some like silver lining, and like, I totaled my car like when I was in school, and I was like, well, I wanted to get a new car, so it was like a silver lining to get a new car, and then cars got expensive, and I was like, try to put myself in a positive mindset. And then I was like thinking about this, and I was like, if that night doesn't happen, I probably don't meet Zach. Me and Lauren probably never like end up talking and hanging out. And I was like, that's crazy. And I never
Oh,
think about it till later.
that is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I honestly, I only hung out with him once. He was a really cool guy.
Yeah, I also only hung out with him once. It's just like
Yeah, but
magical
he was like,
angel going around.
that's what I'm saying. Like friends of a friend, like he was a friend of a friend that I just happened to be hanging out with that day that I also like don't see very often. Like it's crazy how those things just happen.
Yeah. But yeah, wild thing.
Wow. That's funny.
It's funny. And I didn't even think about it till, like, I was thinking about doing this, and I was like thinking about stuff I was going to talk about. I was like, I never made that connection though till like today when I was thinking about it. I was like, like I thought that night was bad for so long, and then I was like, that's like the only time I saw Zach. Apparently he thought I was a good person because he
Yeah.
gave me a good
No,
rap.
he was like, that guy's awesome. Like, just a really
Yeah,
good guy.
I don't know where that came from. He knows something about me. Honestly, if I ever need a wingman, I am enlisting his services. Like that, that man has never come up more clutch to me than
He can
anybody
just
ever.
feel it. He can feel the energy.
You knew. Yeah.
That is so funny. Good stuff. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Shout out Zach. This podcast is sponsored by Zach. If you have any legal trouble, he'll cover you.
That's funny. Oh, what
So
a guy.
what's up next for this year for Lauren Lifts?
Good question. I'm kind of going through a rebrand right now. Probably changing the name of my company because right now it's just Lauren Lifts Training, which like isn't really like huge. I want it to be bigger than me, right? Like my name's in it. That's kind of like cringy. But yeah, just a lot of growth coming up, a lot of life changing. I haven't really announced this anywhere. I've like told a couple people, but I'm actually moving to Bali in February.
What? That's insane. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting my yoga teacher training certification. So that's
Nice.
going to be another step in my coaching because I'm going to learn a lot more about the mind body soul connection, be able to apply that into coaching. So it's going to be a really fun time, like personal growth for sure, and just like a lot of learning and like a lot of cool stuff that I can just continue to spread and share and educate.
You did. I don't know if you remember this, but on that walk, you did bring up potentially going to Bali at some point.
Did I?
Yeah,
Okay.
you did. Yeah, that was one of we were talking about like where we're at with life and where we're going. And you're like, I might just pack up and go to Bali. Like, maybe it wasn't like a serious comment, but I remember you specifically saying Bali.
All right. Well, now it's
You were
happening.
manifesting it way back then.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're putting down deposits in like this weekend on Saturday. So it's happening.
Wow, that's exciting. Have you
Okay.
ever been, or is this your first time just going?
First time, full
That's
send.
awesome.
Just
I
going.
love it. I love it. It's so exciting. That's the best way to do it, though. Like, you'll figure it out when you get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
it's I feel like if there's a time to do it, it's now.
Yeah.
So,
So
and if
do
I
it.
hate it, then I'll
You
come
can
back.
change again. Yeah, you move
But
again. Yeah, exactly. Just endless
it's
pivoting.
fine.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. What about you? What's coming up soon? What's fun?
What's coming up soon? Uh, Everything is unknown. I guess really for me right now, it's all over the place. I mean, going to Charleston in a month, which I'm psyched for. I miss Charleston. I'm
Do
very
you?
excited.
This
I
place is
really
just
miss
not.
Charleston. What?
I said this place is just not for me.
No, you don't like it?
It's all right. It's
I
just not
just
my vibe.
everyone I've talked to about it, I think I just was on like a different vibe when I was there, and I was just sleeping on the beach all the time, waking up with the waves. I was like, I miss that so much. I was like,
Yeah.
nobody else. I'm shocked that nobody else does that. But
Is
I
that even
interviewed.
loud? I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
I mean,
You just
we might have to
outed
edit this out of the
yourself.
pocket. I mean, nothing might be frowned upon, but like,
It's fine.
they're like, what do you have any parties at the beach? I was like, no. Like I went to the beach a couple times with friends at night. But then I was just like so at peace out there that I was like, I'm just gonna like spend my nights out here sometimes. And it's like those are some of the best, my favorite nights in Charleston were just me and myself and I just on the beach.
Yeah,
People
that
be
shit
like,
changes you.
"Why didn't you invite me?" And I'm just be like, "That me, myself, and I thing. That's just,
I feel like you
that's just
weren't
for
picking up
me."
on that. Like
Yeah,
it was